Yo, what's going on everybody? It's Axel and welcome back to another Warframe video. Do you need more Toroids so then you can max your Vox Solaris standing? Or maybe more credits so then you can brag to your friends that you have more credits than them? Well, today I'm going to show you how to defeat the Prophet Taker in under 3 minutes solo, by yourself. And currently the Prophet Taker is the best way to farm both Toroids and credits, so let's hop right into it. Before we get into this video, I just want to let you know that the majority of the gameplay you're about to see was streamed live on Twitch. So if you have any questions about the Prophet Taker or anything in general, just hop into my chat. I stream every Monday, Friday, Sunday at 6 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. The link is in the description down below. Oh, and since I got your attention, hit the like button. It costs nothing and it helps with the YouTube algorithm. When going up against the Prophet Taker, you want to use either Sarin or Chroma, depending on what you are farming and which frame you are willing to former 5 times. Yeah, both frames require 5 former, and out of those 5, Sarin requires 2 Umbra former, while Chroma can get away with only 1. But I would still recommend investing 2 if you want better results. If you are farming Toroids for Vox Solaris standing, then you would want to use Sarin as she is consistently faster at defeating the Prophet Taker because she can cover every damage type. This is the build that I use, and you will have to infuse Eclipse into either Sarin's 2nd or 4th ability so then you can do more damage. If you don't have Prime Sure-Footed, it can be swapped for Handspring. Aerodynamic can be swapped for Physique, and if you have a rank 4 or higher Arcane Tanker, that would be better to use than a max rank Arcane Guardian. After doing around 10 runs, I managed to complete 4 of them in under 3 minutes, and 2 out of the 4 runs were under 2 minutes and 50 seconds. On the other hand, if you are farming credits, then you would want to use Chroma. There are 2 builds that I would recommend, and this is the first one. It does require you to infuse Eclipse into Chroma's 3rd ability, and after completing around 15 runs with this build, I only managed to do 1 run under 3 minutes. I averaged 3 minutes and 28 seconds, which is 30 seconds better than my other Chroma build. The other one requires 1 Umbra former and does not require the helmet system. As for weapons, you want to use the Zenith, but if you don't have it, then use the Opticore or the Opticore Vandal. This is the build that I use, which can be used on both the Opticore and Zenith. Amalgam Serration would be a better replacement for Serration if they are both the same rank. Twitch would be the only mod I recommend to put in the Exos mod slot, and if you have a Riven, I would replace Vigilante Armaments for it. For secondaries, you want to use a Magnetic Kuvanukor as it can cover 4 different elements. This is the build that I use, and if you have a Riven, I would substitute Auger Pack for it. And for melees, you want to use a Zor with Exodia Contagion. If you don't have Exodia Contagion, the Redeemer is a good alternative. This is the build that I use on my Zor, and if you don't have a Riven, it can be swapped for Berserker. If you have Prime Smite Corpus, it can replace Gladiator Might. For the Redeemer, this would be the build that I would use. The only thing I would change is one of the Madurai Polarities to a Naramon and swap Voltaic Strike for Shocking Touch. Lastly, the Archgun you want to use is the Morcellon, which can be acquired after building the Necromech Void Rig. This is the build that I use, and Parallax Scope can be swapped for a Riven, as well as Magma Chamber or Charged Bullets if you are using an Adaza Kavat. Speaking about Kavats, let's talk about the companion you want to use. The 2 companions you want to use are the Adaza and Smita Kavat. The Adaza has a more consistent crit chance buff, while the Smita Kavat has a chance to set your crit chance to 200%, as well as a chance to double the rewards the Prophet Taker drops. I would recommend using the Adaza if you are farming Toroids to max your Vox Solaris standing, as you will only have to do 2 to 5 runs depending on your mastery rank. But if you're farming credits, then I would recommend using the Smita Kavat, as I have managed to get the double pickup buff once every 6 runs. Before I explain how to defeat the Prophet Taker, I'm going to show you my sub 3 minute run with Chroma so then you guys have something to look back onto.
For starters, Eclipse costs less energy, but lasts just as long. So you don't have to really worry about energy too much. But it also has a downside of if you're in the shade, you won't get the damage buff. Instead, you'll get 75% damage reduction, which is all right. Like, it's better than not giving you a buff whatsoever. And then one more. Add this, switch to that. Activate 2 so that I don't die. $30 seconds. Pretty decent. I wasn't crouched. And where are they spawning? I think here should be fine then. That was quick. Shoot, no. Shoot, no. Shoot, yes. Oh, now we can do this. We got 1.5k health. Now, no longer. Oh, killed, sweet. Oh, we got some spawning over here. That missed. Okay. There. Then we've got there. We may as well make our way over this way. We got that one, and then that one. Four. What was this run? If only I... And I got effigy as well. There we go, a sub 3-minute run.
Explanation time. After you have selected the Profit Taker aka PT Phase 4 Bounty and have entered the Orb Valis, it will take 12 seconds for the PT Orb to spawn. In this time, you want to use Energizing Dash to gain energy and equip your Archgun only if you're using Arcane Tanker to gain the armor buff. At the 11-second mark, that is when I equip my Archwing, so when the PT Orb spawns, I don't have to wait for the Archwing animation before I can start flying to its spawn. Once you have arrived at the Profit Taker Orb, you want to activate Chroma's 3rd and 2nd ability. And if you're using Saren, you want to activate Eclipse as well as her 1st and 3rd ability. When you aim at the PT Orb, you will notice that the health bar is blue, which indicates the shield phase. During this phase, there is a green light that emits from the head which will indicate which damage type the shield will take damage from. On the screen now is the list of all the damage types and which weapon you want to use to deal damage for each damage type. Once you have destroyed the Profit Taker's shield, you will then move on to the limb phase, which only takes a few seconds. You will need to equip your Archgun as it's the only weapon that can damage the PT Orb. First you need to break all 4 legs before you can damage the main body. Each leg should only take 2 to 4 shots, while the orb will need around 4 to 6. After this, the Profit Taker will shoot out some pylons, which is why I like to call this the pylon phase. What you do in this phase changes depending on which primary you are using. If you're using the Zenith, you want to stay at the front of the PT Orb, kill enemies and reactivate your abilities if they're about to run out, while you wait for the pylons to hit the ground. Once they have hit the ground, simply aim at the yellow markers and shoot to destroy them. On the other hand, if you're using the Opticore, you are required to put in a little more effort. When the pylons shoot out of the orb, you want to track where the majority of the pylons are going and then move to a relatively high spot so that you can have vision of them when they hit the ground. While waiting for the pylons to hit the ground, it is the perfect time to reactivate your abilities. When the pylons are grounded, get line of sight and shoot to destroy them. Just a reminder, the Opticore can shoot through the bubbles, but not the terrain. Now that we have covered all the different phases that you'll face during the Prophet Taker fight, let me tell you the order at which these phases will occur in. As I've previously stated, the first phase is the shield phase, followed by limbs, which is then followed by pylons. After this, it goes back to the limb phase, then back to shields. Then again to limbs followed by pylons. But after the second pylon phase, it then goes back to the final shield phase, followed by the final limb phase, which will result in killing the Prophet Taker orb. Now before I end the video, there are a few tips that I would like to share with you guys. Firstly, don't get too close to the orb. When you do walk up to around the same distance as the legs stick out, the Prophet Taker will occasionally slam the ground, dealing magnetic damage. If you do encounter this, the magnetic shockwaves can be dodged by either jumping above them or by ducking under them. Tip number 2 is to remember to track the pylons while they are in the air. This mainly applies to the players that are using the Opticore, but it's still a useful tip for the Zenith users. Lastly, timing and placement for your effigy. As this ability costs a lot of energy, especially with the negative efficiency build, timing your ability is key. Lucky for us, the Prophet Taker has a final death animation which looks like this. When the main body starts to rise, that is the cue to place down your effigy, and you want to place it down at the rear left leg. That is all for this Warframe video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And as always, thank you for watching.